Hi everybody, welcome back to the energy tips for week 15, that is the 6th till the 12th April of 2020, called Fake Connection and Resurrection. Thank you everybody for being so patient and giving me this space to let the energies unfold. The energy tips are coming a little later this week, but I hope that you can work with it regardless. As you know, these energy tips are not just pertaining these particular days. They are obviously reflecting on an energetic tendency that is coming in, and right now it looks like that we're going through several highs and lows throughout the day, high highs and low lows, I want to add. So this can often create a little bit of vacuum in a person because there's no real answer yet. We don't really know how much longer we have to stay in this social distancing state, and we don't really know what the effect this will have on our personal budget, our job, our relationships, and so forth. So there's a lot of unanswered questions. So after these first weeks of just kind of getting our minds wrapped around that there is a new reality here, we are now getting into the place where impatience can really be something that can hurt us, all right? But it's also the overreacting. And here comes the name of these energy tips in fake connections. And I'll explain this in a little bit, but let me do a little bit of an arc here and share with you what happened to me here these last 10 days since the last energy tips. I actually became sick last week, and I went through the entire spectrum of emotional, mental, physical, spiritual, energetic, social, all these aspects of my being. And what this means to me when this fear, this panic creeps in, that this might be the end of everything, right? And I had such an interesting experience with observing myself, how I am first in my panic sort of overreact and want to separate myself from everything, and just and not pull anybody in, and waiting for it to get worse, more or less. And then I remembered all of the things that I preach. I remembered the fundamentals of self-healing, and that if I really see this as an energetic battle in me, so to speak, if I really see this virus or whatever causes my unwell being, all right, as an energy form, then I should be able to self-master this. I should be able to manage my energy, to strengthen and nurture my energy so that it can drive this out. And there are some things that I will recommend to you here on the physical level. I'm not a medical doctor, as you know, but there are some things that I noticed only a few people actually pay attention to. So I want to bring this into your awareness, that there are quite a few things that you can do, that even if you do get sick, that can help you to change the way it develops and the way you experience this. So this just on a side note, I'm telling you guys, I went through this in light speed. Okay, so I don't know if I was sick or not with the virus, but I had something. I was going through something, and all I really did was I focused on providing what I'm best at and really doing the things that help my energy to increase its vibratory rate, including long nature walks, including all the spiritual and energetic work that I teach you guys here. And I'm not trying to create sort of a false positivity here, but I do want to strengthen your courage that even if you get sick here in this time, all right, I really want you to understand that there is a huge difference in how you deal with this and how you perceive this. It's not just, how you mentally perceive this. It plays a role. How you emotionally perceive this also plays a role. But it really depends on how you are able and willing to deal with what is happening here right now without giving up your power. Your power to increase or to shift your energy into a place where it literally says, no, I am in control of this. I'm the sovereign here, and I'm willing to work with, whatever the truth is, whatever the reality is, but I'm not succumbing to my mind that is going into the fear of the fear and my emotions, that create this tunnel vision of like, oh my God, this is the end of everything. The reason why I'm sharing this here with you is that this overreaction really leads to this lower vibratory resonance field in you that then basically makes everything worse. So I want you guys to really stay in this true connection with yourself, because the false connection will immediately make you feel separated. It will make you feel you're not worth anything anymore, or there's no point. You'll go into this sort of hopeless place, and that's when you give up your power, guys. So there are some things here that came forward also through the energy sessions here in this week that I want to share with you here today. And then I have a little goodie for you for waiting so long, an interview with Margot Burdick. She is an herbalist, and she'll explain to us what folk herbalism is and how this can be translated in healing teas, and how we can use herbs to boost and balance our immune system. I was doing a project with my son, a lava lamp, and I don't know if you guys know what a lava lamp looks like, but it's, basically water and oil, and they don't mix. But if you put an agent in there, a catalyst in there, then it begins to bubble, and you use, food coloring to make this look cool and so forth. You put light source underneath. It was a really cool experiment that we did there, and this is when it dawned on me, all right? What we need to do is to create our own bubble of energy around us. We need to create our own field of energy around us that is impenetrable, for these lower vibratory energies, including the virus, but more so, including the fear, the collective energies, the phantom pains and fears that are bombarding us every day, that lead to these ups and downs and the tunnel vision of just focusing on getting sick or not getting sick. All right, there is much more to life than that, and that is very clear when you think about, okay, we all have to get sick sooner or later in some way or another, and I never stop being who I am. Okay, so there's a life after all of this, and how do I want to see myself? How do I want to feel in me once we've gotten through this adversity? You don't stop being you just because you're dealing with an adversity. And this is where resilience and so forth comes in. And I understand that this may sound like fake positivity to you right now, but I really need you to see this. There's a clarity that is coming in here in this week that allows you to confront yourself with truth. And you recognize that whatever you feel as confrontation at first doesn't have to be a confrontation. It can be an acceptance. You accept the truth of what it is that you're going through, and with it you lose all your fear. Someone said last week in one of our Skype meditation sessions that she treats it like as if she's already had it. All right, and this is actually a good advice, because then you lose all the fear. And this is this lava lamp bubble that I saw there. If we can create an energy bubble around us, and it's these energy pockets that I often talk about, that we can create, not just internally, also through where we live, who we live with, what we do, how we make our money, and so forth. All these things, they help to sustain that. They help to sustain our, sort of vibratory field around us. And it also affects the people around us in the same way. So energies are not just one way, they're two way, actually. There are multiple ways. And energy can rub off, okay, in both ways, in a negative and in a positive way, in a higher and in a lower vibratory way. So here it's really, really important, and this is a big, big message to all of you energetically aware, energetically sensitives, and empaths out there. Do not think that it's just you, all right? This is your demise right now. This is a centristic, egocentric way of looking at the world, okay? Everybody is going through this right now. And whether you're energetically aware or sensitive or empath or not, okay? The only difference between you and those who have not yet noticed that they're energetically aware or sensitive is that you have had trauma in the past. You've had negative experiences with it. And so you tend to get pulled into the trauma memory of the past. Many of you guys are responding in a way that I call trauma response. It's a physiological reaction. It's basically your body reacting to an incoming energy or an incoming thought or an incoming emotion, reminding you of the past where you have experienced loss or where you have experienced pain or where you have experienced fear before. And then anxiety is the fear of the fear. That's the mental construct around all this. All right. And then your emotions get pulled into, oh my God, I don't want this, and you're resisting and you're making it a battle. And this is where we lose a lot of life force. So this week here is actually bringing in a new kind of life force, and it feels a bit like limbo because you have to let it unfold. It's like these soul codes that need to pop open, and we all do this in our time. You need to trust in your inner connection here and in your inner medicine, because if you allow this to unfold, this new kind of life force will teach you where you have to go. And it will help you to translate, these adversities that we are going through right now into sovereignty and into autonomy, but not in a self-centered way, in the way of winning, but in the way of collaborating and winning. All right. So where you understand that, sharing actually increases your own capacity to hold light, to hold truth, to hold energy, and where, you can benefit from the two-way aspect. Energies are always two-way, guys. So whether you allow this or whether you see it this way or not. And this is the reason why, when we talk about truth training and really working with our true self, why it's often like sort of an empty promise, right? Because the first we have to go through some really strong resistances. This inner battle that I described earlier. So truth will set us free, but first it will piss us off. And that's where we are all standing here as a collective right now. All right. So the ways out of this right now have to do with us really growing into the true connection, the true identity. And from an energetic point of view, it looks, it has this phoenix energy to it. It looks like a resurrection. We have to self-selectedly, okay, so we have to choose this ourselves, to resurrect ourselves. And I find this really cool, actually, that this comes in here so strong at a time where Christians celebrate Easter. Okay, so this week here, this whole Easter weekend, guys, is literally about resurrection, but not the kind that is somehow created from the outside through a higher power, but through the higher power within yourself. You recognizing through your true connection within that power is in you and that you can change everything. All right, and that is a process that we call self-selection. You choose it. You underline it and embody it through deliberate actions, conscious choices. And there's a wonderful opportunity here, as I point out so many times, because everything is changing right now. Our social values, our economy, the power systems that we are in. Some of the laws, some of the regulations, our healthcare system, our banking system, all that is changing right now. And we're actually seeing, besides, obviously the dimensions that are starting to become clear to us, we're actually also seeing something really cool. There are some companies that are popping up right now that are giving us a break. All right, there are some landlords that are giving their tenants a break. There are, car insurers who, say, well, hey, you guys are not driving your car anyway right now. We're skipping your monthly fee. There's banks. PayPal has waived all fees till the end of April. Those are really, really cool developments, guys, where we can see a new level of integrity emerging. And this will be very interesting to continue to observe this and to see how this unfolds. As for, the question that everybody's asking, when will we go back to normal? When is this over with? I have to speak truth with you, and I hope that all of you appreciate this, but this situation and the changes, especially the socioeconomical changes that we are looking at, they're not going to be over with in a month or two. All right, this is going to continue for at least 2-3 years. And the active phase, meaning, like literally sort of coming up with solutions here for a global resolution of this pandemic, all right, we'll see ourselves, going through, different waves here over the course of the next 12 months. So not to be, sort of a doomsayer here, but you have to, my tip for you is to see it like as if you chose it. This will help you emotionally, this will help you mentally, and this will help you energetically to see the true teaching here in all of this, to recognize what all this is truly about. It is about becoming conscious, becoming aware of all the diseases in our societies. So the diseases that we are truly dealing with here, where the virus situation is just the tip of the iceberg, is, the freedom and the sovereignty that is being attacked, the power that is being exerted over, our lives, our schooling, our healthcare system, our relationships, our businesses, our housing, our social rules, and so forth. All this is now showing its true colors. How dysfunctional, these pathologies of disconnection, have become. And this is the true task here for the next 2-3 years and ongoing. And we can already see how certain countries are dealing with this in a different way. All right, so the part here that is now showing, coming from the unconscious into the conscious, is that when we just wait, okay, for some kind of outer authority to tell us what to do, then we will not be able to thrive. So the true task here is to understand that this is about what is self-sustainable, be it our healthcare system, be it our social systems, be it our environment, be it our relationships, be it our businesses, the way we make money, the place that we live in, the people that we are with. This is what this is about. And whether what we experience as sort of status quo, whether that's not actually based on a false identity. And these false identities, they are popping up now in this week, and that's why this is such a difficult week. With the full moon behind us now, guys, and this is the conclusion that I've drawn for the heaviness of this whole weekend here is, we have a lot of erratic and frustrated and overreactive, too quick, decisions and thoughts coming up, and they're bringing out, this really strong anger and frustration in people now. So this will build a little bit here in this next week, especially. All right, so it's not over yet, guys. But there's a lot to learn, and this is all about self-mastery in this month. So I really want to give you a heads up and make you understand that the way we can thrive in a crisis is not by waiting, is by going into this sovereignty with yourself, into like, what can I do? What are the tools that I have? What is the medicine that I have? What is the medicine that I can use? What are the things that the people around me, what they are offering to me? How can I bring giving and receiving into balance? And last but not least, how can I physically integrate all of this and embody this? All right, so let's come to the energy tips here real quick, and you'll be able to listen to the interview with Margot and maybe learn a few things about plants and how you can use them. Collective energies, I've just went through them a little bit. The energies here are all about separation versus autonomy. Okay, so what we have not yet figured out, and this is clearly visible politically, how to collaborate. Okay, so we're seeing a really strong tendency right now for people to separate themselves from nations, to separate themselves from nationalism and tribalism almost. All right, and at the same time we're seeing this push forward. Everybody wants to loosen the quarantines and so forth, the shutdowns and the lockdowns, but there's not enough energy there yet to really substantiate this. Okay, so we have to be patient in this and wait how it unfolds, and this creates this triggers ego in people on all levels. All right, so for our nations, for our economies, what this does to countries here, to nations, is that they are starting to question their power, and there's a huge power struggle going on behind the scenes. This vacuum that you're feeling right now internally is not just you. Okay, there is a lot of panic decisions that are being made right now that will have huge consequences. And I've talked about them before, so I don't want to lay this out again here. Chakra-wise, we're dealing with very strong 2nd and 5th chakra influences right now. And this always has to do with being in truth and really allowing our emotions, accepting our emotions, and through bringing them into a truthful and authentic expression. At the same time, we also have the 6th chakra, the third eye, is being bombarded with all those collective energies. And this, guys, this combination, okay, 2nd, 5th, and 6th, often brings in really strong projections of things and very strong sort of ego mechanisms in us. All right, and adding to this here in this next week, we have like the overall, it's our heart chakra right now that is being challenged anyway through the virus, through the energies, collaboration and sharing. Those are all heart chakra subjects, but we have, the third chakra, the survival mode, and this wanting to win, and hoarding, and this, this whole question of, me before others and so forth, that pushes in really, really hard. So this is a complete ego week. All right, this is orange up to the wazoo. So let's talk about some of the physical things that we need to pay attention to. So first and foremost, in order to strengthen your immune system, your physical immune system, okay, there are some fundamentals to that. And that is that, first of all, we cannot really prevent toxins or contaminants or viruses, for that matter, to come in from the outside, but we can help our body to metabolize it and to release it better, okay? And this is important that you understand that, because everything that has to do with releasing and clearing needs to be strengthened right now. That's your lymphatic system, and that's your, kidney and bladder system, all right? And, like everything that helps to really cleanse your body out. Now, you don't want to go into fasting or detoxing right now. That'd be too extreme, all right? This is not actually helping your system, your immune system, to balance, okay? It's good for reboot, for reset, but not right now, okay? Right now, you want to go into some of these very simple things that can help you to reduce your susceptibility to virus infection, but also any other, even chronic diseases, and that is drink lots of water, guys. Especially this virus responds to, mucus. This is basically how it enters your system, and mucus is there to flush things out. It's your first line of defense, okay? The more water you drink, the better that works. The more dehydrated you are, the less, of first defense your body has, all right? And from an energetic point of view, we also know that if you're dehydrated, you're more likely to go into anxiety and into depression. You're less likely, to feel, something like self-care and self-love, all right? And that creates a downward spiral. Sun, I've mentioned this many times. We use the sun to clear crystals. Leaving it out in sunlight for 24 hours, for instance, can clear energetic residues, even long-term residues. So obviously we can't do this with ourselves, but what you can do, if you have sunshine outside, go outside as much as you can, walk as much as you can in sun. This virus also tends to attach itself to hair and clothing. So my tip here for all the people that I had energy coachings with this week was to, if you have to go out, if you have to go to the grocery store, if you have to socialize in some ways, then always make sure that you immediately take off your clothes and take a shower after you come home. If you live in places where it's warm enough that you can, go in the pool or whatever, or take a walk home instead of driving home, or, you can already clear a lot of that energy, as well as, viruses that have attached, to some of the surfaces of your own surfaces. Okay, so it's all about releasing and cleansing here. So use water not just to drink a lot for your physical immune system, but also for cleansing. And one of the things that I've noticed that nobody really talks about, or just as sort of in Ayurvedic circles here, is that hot beverages really help to lower the virus count in your mouth and throat, okay? And that's something that can be done with just drinking hot water all day, really. But you can also use this in combination with herbs and teas, and that's why I'm so glad that we can talk to Margot today about this, all right? So drinking teas or hot water is actually a really cool preventative measure right now. Emotionally, we've already talked about the problem with tunnel vision, okay? So tunnel vision creates this panic, and panic is a physiological response, and it gets amplified by separation. So this social distancing is like really bad for us emotionally, okay? Because we literally believe that it's just us, but remember, you're not alone, okay? Everybody goes through this right now. Nobody has answers. And financial things or, a job loss or things like this, all right? You're not the only one, okay? There is no solution right now. You have to trust that there will be solutions. And instead of, going into this like, oh my God, there's nothing I can do and panic stuff, all right? To trust in your own creativity to come up with ways that can help you to get through this. All right, like one of the cool things that we can observe right now is, all these Zoom and Skype meets. We had a Zoom dinner with our family the other day, and we have Skype meditation circles every day now. One of our trans coaches, Amanda, is doing yoga every morning over Skype. These things do really help, and I recommend that you do video because in these meetings, because seeing other people, I've explained this a few times already, really lifts your mood, okay? But what's underneath all this narrow, this tunnel vision, okay? So fixating on the virus and the death toll and stuff like that, okay, is that we are not actually equipped to face our fear of death. Okay, this is what the ego is for. The ego is there to prevent us, actually, to protect us from that. And what it leads to right now is that we are really afraid of allowing our emotions. So the medicine for this here is to accept your emotions, okay? Remember that there are no good or bad emotions. Accept them, write them down, bring them into truthful expression without exaggeration, without panic. Just say to yourself, okay, I'm afraid right now. I feel afraid. I can feel this anxiousness in me. I accept that and I surrender this to my inner higher power because I don't have answers right now. And quite frankly, when you speak to yourself this way, I don't have answers right now. Really, what you're saying is my ego has no answers right now. And this self-talk that's based on a true inner connection can really help you to connect not just with your emotions but also with your body, because your emotions and your body, they're in this trauma response cycle here, okay? So I've recommended everyone I've talked to here in this last week to learn to really speak with your body and to thank your body for always being there, and to stop the negative self-talk, all right, and to see your body as a wondrous creation, and understand that we all do abuse to it at some point, and it's still working and it has these phenomenal self-healing abilities. So we really just need to focus on that and resurrect that and say to our body, hey honey, I know, it's kind of rough right now, but you know what? Together we can get through this, all right? So don't separate internally, don't fragment internally, neither with your body nor with your emotions. Now, mentally, it's a little more difficult because, this is almost like the thinkingness is almost something that happens without us actually being able to stop this. But, at least 90% of all the thoughts that are going through us are not even ours. Okay, and so we have to learn to better discern this here. And, when we cannot discern this, then we go into anxiety. And anxiety is the fear of the fear of the unknown. Okay, so we're fearing that we are afraid of something that we don't know. Can you see how mental that is? All right, so here is my reminder to you to watch what you're entertaining here mentally, what these mindsets and these beliefs are that you're entertaining. All right, watch, how you're talking to yourself and what kind of feeling that is expressing, and you'll see right here, that the way your self-talk is way more negative, than what would come from your true self. Your true self always speaks to you and through you in an uplifting way. All right. So make sure that you are really paying attention to this, and that you go in with this, I've called this intentiveness and attentiveness here, to really be with you and not to go into this fragmented place with yourself. You will need this later, guys. So this is a learning here now. So we get a little bit of a preview, because this isn't going to stop. And if you cannot self-master this, it'll really be hard for you, later to see purpose and to see growth in this. All right, so this is how the holistic, the larger perspective can really show us what or how we can grow from things like this. All right. Socially, in regards to our relationship, in regards to our, businesses, the way we make money, the jobs that we have, it's the same situation here. We have to check on whether these connections that we have, whether they are true or not, whether they're fake connections and dependencies, or whether those are really based on mutual respect and mutual honoring our existence, with all the things that come with this. Also, the willingness to collaborate and the willingness to share. The way you can find out whether your relationships and your jobs and so forth are true or fake, all right, is to ask yourself if you depend on it. And if so, if that's sustainable. Okay? Because if you take the dependencies that you have and you look into the future, can you really maintain that? Or is the energy that you have to spend in order to keep it that way basically higher than what you get out of it? And if you get to this place where you realize that there are some illusions of that, or that the job that you've been working isn't for you, then go into acceptance here, just like with your emotions, and say, okay, I'm realizing that the job I'm doing is really making me unhappy, and I really actually don't want to do this anymore. Then look at what you have. What are the resources? What are the talents? What are the things that you have to give here? Everything is changing right now. Think about what people need in times like this, all right? And shift your attitude towards making money into, well, how can I, bring my abilities, my talents, my skills, things that I can offer to people, my products, services, and so forth, out so that they can help others, so that they can multiply, instead of going into this hoarding and keeping everything to myself and, pulling in, okay, to find the right balance here, okay? It's just like how we see this in the global economy right now. We will have to find ways to learn to collaborate as nations and as companies, all right? Our supply chains, the way they were, set up, they will begin to falter now, because they were, based on who pays the most or who pushes the hardest, and, all these kind of things. They'll all, show the unsustainability, so to speak. And so it's really important that we understand what didn't really work well before this situation. We cannot expect here in this phase that we're in that it works better. But we can start with new ways of doing it, whether it's a new way of conducting our relationship, of being with our families, of the family rules, all right, the way we want to work, the way we want to live. Those are all things that we need to reflect about right now, because all the things that are not sustainable, they're coming from the unconscious into the conscious right now. And spiritually, this is a very deep awakening here, a harsh awakening maybe at first, because there's a lot of sort of karmic debt that is coming back to the surface. Okay, what are the things that we have been repeating over and over again? And, what have we learned, and how have we been translating this? Have we learned from our mistakes in the past? All right. And here is where this resurrection theme comes in, because it's really about understanding that growth and evolution, that it happens through self-correction. And self-correction always means, to understand that, yeah, all right, it is what it is. I don't like the outcome. So, I give myself this feedback. I accept whatever the feedback is in neutrality. This is one of those hallmarks of being able to be in truth, the willingness to accept things and to see it in a neutral way, not sucking up. That's not the same as accepting things, all right? And then to self-select, to discern and say, okay, going forward now, am I going to try to hold on to the old identity, the old job, the old ways of doing things? Then I have a very high likelihood that I will re-experience the same karmic lesson over. Or am I going to really change something here? Okay? Because whenever you really go into this place where you shift your perception into a higher perception, you recognize that whatever it is that you are experiencing as circumstances or conditions really depends on your state of consciousness, on your level of consciousness. And when you are, in a higher vibratory state, then things actually appear as, okay, didn't really go that well. Maybe I can do something differently. When you're in a lower state, it's like, oh my God, I completely messed up. I'm such a loser, blah, blah, blah. So you see, there's a different attitude towards what is happening that comes with our energetic and our spiritual awareness. And also the ability to actually shift the experience itself. If you talk to anyone who has gone through a crisis, through a challenge, through adversity, through, something that really rocked their boat, every single one will say that this was the most fundamental transformation of their lives and that they wouldn't want to miss it. Because this is the time, guys, where we can strip off all the ego stuff, all the false stuff, be it the false connection within, the false identity within or with others. It doesn't matter. And this is really super, super spiritual, because it's what we came here for. It's the karmic purpose that we chose, all right, when we incarnated in 3D. That's what we have all these conditions for. All these souls, that are congregating right now in this time, all right, they came here exactly for this purpose, to experience this right now. And that's part of the resurrection, because this is when you start to remember this and you start to see that it's in your hands to either take this as the biggest disaster ever and the world's going to go under and total apocalypse, or as a positive event that comes in as a catalyst for our entire collective to grow and to step by step, obviously it's not going to happen overnight, to raise its consciousness level. So we have to go through all these dysfunctions, these pathologies of disconnection, and all these children diseases here as a global collective, all right, in order to get to a place of higher levels of freedom, higher levels of integrity, higher levels of unity, and higher levels of mutuality, while still recognizing our own sovereignty. So energetically, always remember that how you experience things depends on your energetic state, and your biggest power here as self-master, as energetic self-master, is to simply shift your energetic state. So I gave you a few examples here walking you through all these things. And the most important and really big message for you here for this next week is to encourage yourself, to strengthen yourself instead of buying into the fear. Okay, yes, there is a reality to all of this, and yes, we are facing difficult times. But it doesn't mean anything, because when you're in truth, okay, it's neutral. All right, you recognize that the way you will experience this, the way your life will manifest this, will depend on where your energy is. So, what do you want to do? You want to work on upping your energy. You want to work on increasing your capacity. You want to work on doing things that help you to up your vibration, to increase your vibration. And ideally, by sharing all this with others, by doing things that are, basically for a greater good, all right, because then you're multiplying it. And this is then what can give you hope. This is then where this phoenix energy awakens in you, where all your soul codes pop open, all right, and your karma stuff falls off. So be super, super attentive here. Pay attention these next couple of weeks. Explore new ways. Only engage in deliberate and conscious action, guys. And if you want to be part of this daily Skype meditation, it's free for everybody. You can invite your friends, your family, and so forth. Then see in the link here for the video, there are all the Skype links. Each day has a different link. All right, and just come. Just come and go into this space, this inner space of timelessness and spacelessness, right? With other people. Allow this and see what happens. If you've never meditated before, wonderful. If you've never meditated with other people on Skype before, I hadn't, so this was my first time as well. You'll see what happens. It's a new way, and that can shift your energy. That's how you can self-master. All right, everyone, I wish you a good week. Remember, you're not alone, okay? And let's listen to MARGO here on Teas and Herbs. See you next week. Thank you for your patience. Bye-bye. Welcome, MARGO Burdick from Arizona, energy healer and herbalist, specialist in self-healing modalities. Thank you for coming here and for sharing some cool things with us here in these energy tips.
Hi, welcome everybody. Thank you for having me, Jona. Um, so I am a supplement specialist. I've been working in the supplement world for the last 15 years, and within the same time, I became extremely interested in herbs, in actual hands-on herb work. So I've been in that field for about 7 years now, and within the last 3 years, I developed my own line of herbal remedies, which one available on my website. And as of last year, I am an apprentice at this amazing Gaia School of Healings in California, where I am learning. I'm going a little bit deeper into the medicine of herbs, but it's not the Western kind of herbalism approach. It's the intuition plus meditation and obviously the knowledge of herbs. So it's all in one where I sit with the plants and I meditate with them and I use my intuition to connect and to learn from them directly. So this
Very
is what I'm
beautiful.
doing right now. Yeah. So it's a old ways of learning about herbs. It's called the folk herbalism.
Mhm.
And I'm really grateful because my energy background, the everything that I've learned from transcodes, it's beautifully going along with the ways I work with herbs. Like everything that I've learned about myself is extremely helpful right now.
So you found ways to integrate energy work and remote energy work with herbs that you use for, supporting or nourishing or whatever the client requires, whatever the remedy is that is needed, but also to deeper connect with the plants and to really work with nature's medicine cabinet here on the full spectrum. That sounds really, really cool. I like how you combine this. So, how does one work with herbs? What does this even mean? How do we sort of classically integrate herbs here in our daily life if we wanted to use this healing or self-healing potential that comes from these plants? What are some of the ways that you recommend people to work with herbs?
The work with a herb is when you actually create a communication with a particular plant you want to work with. So let's say right now you're a little bit stressed out, and there's so much going on around you. Possibly you're having some issues with work, whatever is happening in your life right now, and you want to calm yourself down a little bit. You start searching for a special herb. Start with finding what possibly might help us. So you can talk to herbalists, you can look it up online, you can go to Google and search
Mm-hmm.
that, and you can just pick something, which I believe that most of us pick something intuitively. We know that this particular thing might help us. So when you work with an herb, you, like I said, you create some kind of communication. You also create some kind of relationship with a plant, and this is where I love to share that with people, that this is exactly what we are doing. We are creating a relationship with a plant. It's something that is alive. It has a vibration, and it can come deep within us, and it can give us so much healing if we appreciate everything from the time of getting the herb, like every step of working with a herb is already healing to us. So we find that herb that is that we're looking for, or that maybe has been suggested to us, and then one of the simplest way to make this herb very medicinal to us is to infuse the herb. So instead of making just a simple tea, which is still
Mm-hmm.
very helpful, so like steeping your tea, your herb for 20 minutes, you can actually prepare it at night. You can use it, you can use it as like a form of meditation, where you play certain music, you prepare the jar, you take a handful or 2 tablespoons of your favorite herb, of the herb you're working with right now, and you put hot water or cold water. With some herbs we use cold water, and you put it, you do a little prayer. You can put it next to your heart chakra, and ask the plant to work with you, to enter you and give you all the healing that you need, and then you just leave it overnight. And when you wake up in the morning, you go to that plant, you give thanks, and you drink it. And that's like the basic form of working and making that plant more medicinal, more healing to you.
No,
I
most
don't know if that
people
answers the question.
don't really have that information, like what herb to work with or what plant to work with. This is where people like you come in, right? So where you
Hmm.
feel a person's energy, where you feel into their needs, maybe they have a little bit of knowledge about their own energies. You can align this to their energy centers. Maybe you can align this to their symptomology if they have any, if they have, what are some of the typical, besides, of course, the virus scare right now, but what are some of the typical things that people would actually resort to herbs instead of medications, say? What are some of the typical symptoms that people typically choose to work with herbs with? Even people who don't really know a lot about herbs, but what are some of those
Right.
examples?
Well, one of the most common reason why people choose to support themselves with herbs, and if it's not the tea or if it's not the infusion, it's their capsule, form of herb, is because it's pretty safe,
Hmm.
especially if you get a chance to get a little information about it. So it's pretty relatively safe. There's very little side effects if you follow the guidance, the instructions on a bottle, on a bag or whatever, then it's pretty safe to take. Also, it's pretty affordable. Herbs, especially if you're buying bulk herbs,
Mm-hmm.
those are very, very inexpensive. And then they are effective. If you get a little information, and that's why people like myself, people who love herbs, and we're available for conversation, for advice, how to use the herbs.
Mm-hmm.
They become very effective very quickly. And especially when you just want to nourish your body, when you want to support your body in
Mm-hmm.
times of stress, that's extremely effective. You'll notice if you drink it every day, if you follow through, and it's like a commitment. You're learning to commit to yourself, and that's what I
Okay.
like about herbs. So very quickly they teach you how to commit to yourself.
So let's say you don't know much about herbs, but you're relatively open. You kind of get the gist of this, and you feel attracted to this. Have you noticed maybe that people intuitively find an attraction or a resonance with specific herbs? For instance, for me personally, I've always had, without really knowing why, for the longest time, a really intimate relationship with fennel. I like fennel in all ways, and I like the tea, I like the seed, I like the plant, I like everything about fennel, and there is something about drinking fennel tea for me that it does something to me. I don't even know what this is. Have you noticed that people might actually have an intuitive gravity to certain herbs?
Yeah. And then I actually that happens a lot, especially if somebody starts some kind of protocol of a starting, becoming more interested.
Mm-hmm.
They develop this feeling like, oh my gosh, I just knew I had to drink it, or
Mm-hmm.
this just feels so familiar. Often, not always, but pretty often, it's because somewhere in the past, maybe somebody was making their tea for them, or
Mm-hmm.
they, what I mean, like it was present in their life and they forgot
Yeah.
about it, and now they're coming back. And that's the story with me, because I'm just yet another example of it. How I remember now my grandma back in Poland, using nettles for everything from drinking to putting it on her body to soaking her feet. And then all of a sudden, I'm just a fanatic of nettles. I love nettles. I love the taste of
Mm.
them, and I love to prepare them, and I love the vibration,
Yeah.
and and everything that nettle offers is not just physically. Those herbs, all the herbs can bring a lot of the spiritual, like energetical changes into our body too. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah.
So you can help people to find their herb that is working really well for them, and then obviously, we can ingest it in many different ways. For me,
Yes.
what your grandmother has with meadows, I have this with chamomile. Okay, I use chamomile
Yeah.
for everything, like as antiseptic tincture, or as tea, or as balm. I use it as in all different kinds of forms, because it's somehow almost like genetically resonating with me.
Yeah, this is something that I discovered once I get kind of deeper into the plant medicine. That I only knew before, years ago, that I can use chamomile for stomach aches. It's good for my
Hmm.
stomach. Oh, it calms me down. But actually, chamomile does many different things in the body.
Hmm.
It's also a gentle antiviral, so it's perfect to use right now. Especially if you take it with another herb like lemon balm or calendula flowers. It's a
Hmm.
very wonderful immune supporting herb. So all the herbs, each herb has so many different properties. It can be used in so many different ways. And then a person who drinks this one, like let's say reishi, which I highly recommend right now,
Hmm.
and I created this beautiful formula for deep immune modulating to support our immune system in case of this, coronavirus. And reishi has been used all over the world, especially in Asia, in China, in Japan, for
Hmm.
thousands of, hundreds of years, if not a thousand. And it's a longevity tonic, so makes you stay healthier longer, live longer. But it's also an amazing rooting medicinal mushroom. It helps you ground better and stay in the connected. So this one particular plant can have endless amounts of, different properties in our body. And I really appreciate this about herbs. They're just amazing.
So sometimes it's also in the combination, as I'm starting to hear from what you're saying. So coming back to the coronavirus situation, so here in the energy tips and the truth talks, I talked a little bit about how we need to focus on increasing our immune system. Anyway, we kind of obviously as healers, this is always our tip for anybody, to instead of fighting against things, to increase our ability to withstand things, right? This is a sort of nature's way to do things. And it's often also much gentler and energetically more effective. But when it comes to
Yeah.
now the specific herbs that you can identify here for this current collective situation. So we don't just have a situation where it's all about increasing our immune system. We also have a virus here that is coming in. If we look at the virus as an energy code, really, if we look at it as an energetic frequency, then it comes with lots of other things too, not just the physical issues, right? Because ultimately, if you think at the, or look at the situation that we're having here, getting sick is actually not even the focus. I mean, at least not if you are not sort of in this in this group of people who have preconditions. All right, so it's more of a global situation of fear and uncertainty. And what are some of these things that you have basically sort of identified as herbs that are very helpful, that are supportive, that are nourishing here, specifically in regards to this coronavirus situation, not just the physical part, but the overall part, how it challenges all of us.
Yes. So when we look at the our immune system and how our immune system works, we have what I call them the first responders to the immune system, which we take for a very short time. There are the strong immune stimulating herbs like echinacea, elderberry, garlic, golden seal, and those herbs are great for a common cold, common flu, but they are not that great to use in this particular virus.
Okay.
You can use it as long as you stay healthy. You haven't, you didn't contract the virus. You're fine. It is advised now to not to overuse these herbs. Why? Because they overstimulate the body. What we want to do right now, and I'm basing this on my knowledge, on everything I've learned and get the information from my school, and of course everything else that I've learned, is to deeply nourish and support your immune system in a very like a core way. So instead of just doing this kind of like a surface boosting, we're
Mm-hmm.
doing a deep core, support. So we want to support our body from a very, very root. And when you look at the root chakra is going to have pretty much all the roots to support, our immune system, because the immune system lays in the root chakra. So in order to support that immune system, we want to go with herbs like astragalus. We want to go with herbs like licorice root, or I love Siberian ginseng, which is not a regular like Panax ginseng. It's not as
Mm-hmm.
strong. It's very
Okay.
gentle, but extremely, extremely empowering for our body. I also like to go with medicinal mushrooms. So there's lots of them right now. You can buy it everywhere. But I love reishi. It's one of the best
Mm-hmm.
mushrooms to use because it's sustainably grown. So I developed this formula. I put together my favorite herbs, and I've been using them myself for a few weeks now, actually a few months. And reishi mushrooms with astragalus, L-Pharo, which is the Siberian ginseng, and of course licorice root. So these three herbs, roots together, plus the reishi, creates a beautiful, beautiful formula to nourish and support our immune system from the very core, from the very like the base of our body.
So
I
basically,
also
it's like a daily kind of thing to like really
Yes,
just create this really good foundation.
right.
Mm-hmm.
So you drink this every day. You can drink these herbs can be drank every day for extended period of time, so you can do easily 30 days, 40 days of it. I also have a blend with calendula and lemon balm. These herbs are a very strong antivirals, and
Mm-hmm.
they are used in all the protocols for coronavirus. The protocols are very extended. This is going to be very simple to use every day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really loving the lemon balm. It's also known as Melissa, because this herb is an antiviral, like I mentioned, but it's
Mm-hmm.
also a very calming, really good nervine. So it helps relax our nervous system. So, we're dealing with all this chaos of the world, what's
Right,
going
right,
on.
right. Yeah.
So this is like a power plant. This is the plant that
Okay.
comes in and be like, I'm gonna fight for your immune system, but
Okay.
also I'm gonna calm your mind. I'm gonna relax your body. I'm gonna relax your
Okay.
heart.
Cool.
So I really love that one in particular, along with those roots and the mushrooms.
So you have a blend here for a deep nourishing and deep sort of preventative, but also something that, a blend that can help a person who is a little sick, right? Because it just sort of really supports the immune system from within. And
Yes.
you offer this online so people can order this with you, and it lasts for like the normal. How much is the like a sort of a normal size of this blend that you offer?
Yes.
How
So the
much?
blend in total is 6 ounces, and that's usually enough if you follow the instructions. And the instructions are, you have to follow it, so you make sure you do it the right way. You
Hmm.
do an infusion, and you also brew the mushrooms. And it seems like it's a lot, but it's not. It's very simple,
Hmm.
and that will last you for about, the first batch is good for about a month to about,
Okay.
let's say, 4 to 6 weeks. Yes.
Okay.
So if
Hmm.
anybody's interested in a more extensive blend,
Hmm.
please contact me via my website, and then we can figure out what exactly you need.
Cool.
Uh, mhm.
So you help people to figure this out, because this is often where I see the problem, to not actually know what is good for me specifically. And here's also where your expertise is as energy healer, energy reader comes in. You can also adjust this to a person's frequency. That's really cool. As you were speaking, Margot, there was a question that came up in my own mind, and that was, if you've actually, I don't know anything about herbs. I have a very intuitive a relationship with herbs, and do the things that you recommend to do. I've been doing them since I'm a teenager. Okay, I feel very much connected, but I don't actually know anything sort of
Mhm.
in my intellectual mind. Is there something like a masculine and feminine energy uh, that you can assign to certain herbs?
Yes, so definitely some herbs have a very strong, and I kind of feel like some of the herbs can go both ways, but some
Uh huh.
herbs will have a more caring, nourishing energy.
Uh
So
huh.
they will be really good for your heart. They will be good for your second chakra.
Uh huh.
Those would be like passion flower, um, you know, hibiscus would be another one. So these herbs would be the more nourishing. Nettles, those are
Hmm.
all very loving, kind of very feminine, very embracing herbs. But then we also have herbs that are more powerful. They're gonna, make you
More soda.
go, do things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like Schisandra berries, all the ginsengs, those are like, very strong moving energy outwards. So they will be more masculine. If we're gonna put this in a category, we probably this would be more masculine energy. So this is interesting you asked me, because I recently I had a person ask me, like, saying that, she's been kind of in that winter mode, and she can't get herself out and do things, and she really needs to step in and make some changes in her life. And she
Mm-hmm.
asked me, what kind of herbs would you recommend for that? And I said, wow, I know exactly. Start doing Schisandra berries. I did 30 days on Schisandra berries in February, and oh my gosh, that solar plexus opened up, the whole
Uh-huh.
energy went up, and I made some big changes, and I did a lot of herb work here at home. Came up with new formulations. So definitely we can. I don't know if this is the accepted way of looking at it, but definitely from the folk herbalist point, the spiritual kind of point of view, we can definitely categorize herbs into feminine and masculine.
But what's different with folk herbalism, just out of curiosity here, as compared to traditional herbalism or Chinese herbalism? Can you give us folks who don't really know much about the differences here just a quick, just a
Yes.
really quick distinction?
Yes, so I think I got really pulled into this particular learning of herbs, this tradition, because it's the tradition of our grandmothers. It's the tradition of the
Okay.
simple people. So it's the
Okay.
tradition that has been always in our civilization. It's the simple ways of working with herbs. It's the intuitive way of working with herbs. It's connecting your heart vibration with herbs. It's just like and it's the simplicity. So that's the way of folk herbalism, or we also call it the wise woman tradition, when we follow the theory that everything is always moving and changing, and we go with that and we learn from that,
Okay.
from the simple things of life. So the way I am trained in the wise woman tradition, the folk herbalism, is that you always look for the local plants, so everything that grows outside your house, so you,
Yeah.
even if you live in a big city, if you're interested in herbs and you kind of want to learn a bit more, get the guide, field guide for wherever area you live in, and look at the herbs that grow around you.
Yeah.
Most of them are, yeah, they are weeds. Most of them are just weeds that are growing, but they're so medicinal. So no matter where you live, you're gonna find that medicine right there outside your door. And that's the beauty. You don't have to pay big money from some exotic plants. You can use nettles, burdock, comfrey, which grows almost everywhere. Not so much in Arizona; it's a little too dry. I have different herbs here. I have
Yeah.
lots of mullein. I'm in
Yeah.
love with mullein. It grows everywhere, and it's a very beneficial plant to drink right now. Mullein is amazing
Right.
for now. So yeah, so it's just the simplicity. Everything is outside your house. Everything is outside your window. Just even if you live in a city, pay attention. The spring is coming in this part of the world, and there will be plants growing everywhere. Dandelions will be blooming everywhere. Pick them up, make a syrup. There's so many recipes. You can use those herbs for in so many ways. You can contact me via email, and if you need to learn more about that and kind of find out more about what we're going to talk for the next, a little bit of time, you can just contact me through that website.
Maybe I can have you back here one day and talk about specific plants, how we can use them. I would love to know about dandelions. I've always felt attracted to them as well.
There you go.
And educate us here a little bit more about these simple weeds that are just growing outside of our houses. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Margot, for coming here and for increasing our awareness about herbs and what we can do. And of course, thank you for mentioning that you have this specific blend here for these Corona times. Okay, really, for our bodies and energy bodies to holistically feel more supported from within. Thank you so much for sharing this. The link here for your website is going to be in the description for the video. Thank you,
Thank you so
Marco.
much, Jona. I appreciate it for sharing, and thank you so much. Have a great night, everybody, or have a good day.